Hey everyone, thanks for being here and welcome to another episode of Spook Coast to Coast. Hang tight, we will be live in just a moment. But while you're waiting, please make sure to hit that like and subscribe button on both channels to show both your hosts some love. As always, we appreciate you all, and we are glad you are here with us today.
Hello. Welcome back to another episode of Spooked Coast to Coast. Thank you, everyone, for being on with us. Joy, how's it going?
Good. How are you guys?
Awesome. We had the opportunity to actually do date night last night. We didn't have the kids with us, so that was an awesome way to celebrate Memorial Day weekend. We got to go see the Final Destination Bloodlines. What do you think of it?
If you like the movie, definitely check out the series. If you like the series, check out that movie. How about that?
Yeah,
I'm like, I don't know. That's free. I don't know. Thinking about the movies is scary. You know, it mind fucks me a little bit.
Huge fan of the second one. This guy right here, but this one is really good.
Really good.
I highly recommend. And then we got to watch the Florida Panthers do what they did best last night.
Kick ass.
They kicked some major. But babe, why don't you tell the good folks about some new folks out there that are kicking some ass?
Yes. Hey guys in the chat, you guys are kicking ass too in the chat. Thank you so much for being here. So tonight we bring on a duo that bought another museum as part of their new location. That new location is located in Savannah, Georgia, called the Savannah Paranormal Museum. Mm-hmm. They also host a podcast called the Most Haunted City on Earth. We're gonna welcome Megan and Chris.
Yay.
How's it going, guys?
Hey. Hello.
Hi. There's a haunted doll behind us.
And you're talking to us from the Haunted Museum, which I love.
It's awesome.
That is correct.
Yeah. Yes. All right. So what I wanted to do was show the audience some of your stuff and what it looks like on the inside. I know you guys took your time and you did a good job on the inside. I love how it looks. Oh, but also we're going to be going up to Savannah in August.
Yeah, so 305 Paranormal is going to be going to Savannah for a macabre.
Oh, the Macabre Fest. MacaBreCon. MacaBreCon. Yeah,
MacaBreCon. Thank you.
That's like another Joy and Joy
with Micah and Courtney.
Well, Micah and Courtney. Exactly.
Yeah. We're gonna be heading up. So we're going with our team, War Party Paranormal.
Yeah.
So check us out, man. If you guys are happen to be in the area, tune in.
But we're gonna go there.
We're gonna be there, right?
No, we want to go there to the museum right there.
We'll be at the MacaBreCon as well.
Yes. Oh yeah. Okay. Awesome. Okay. Definitely, but we want to. I think we're heading up Thursday, so one of those days I want to hit up the museum. Are you going to be there the whole weekend? I don't even know.
I don't know. We haven't worked out our scheduling with that, but as a part of the whole con, we'll probably have like discount tickets for people at the con. People who are participating. We'll figure out ways to get bodies into the building.
Ooh, super cool! I'm so excited to go. Jenny. Hey Jenny, I've never been to Savannah as an adult. I have as a child. I used to road trip a lot with my parents' vacation, but he's never been.
Nope.
So I'm excited for him to like see it and just.
It's probably changed a lot since you've been here.
Oh yeah, probably. Yeah, I don't remember it. Who knows?
Sorry.
Go ahead.
No, I'm trying to log on. I have one screen for us and then one screen for YouTube. And I'm having technical difficulties. So if you see me stirring off, I apologize. I'm trying to get it together. Yeah.
Savannah. Has anybody in the chat ever been to Savannah, Georgia? Please let us know.
I think that's Jenny.
I love Savannah. Yes. Awesome. All right. So I'm gonna play a little intro video that you guys did for the opening of it. Let's see.
Welcome to the Savannah Paranormal Museum.
where history and horror cross paths. Join us May 1st to see what's dying to meet you.
That's so
That's
awesome.
cool. I like it.
I love that.
Yeah.
And that room that you did, like the park bench, or
Oh,
what
yeah.
is it? What is that supposed to be?
We had hired someone to come in and just create like a mural of one of the squares in Savannah, downtown Savannah, just so that and that room we call the Savannah Room. We wanted a room that was dedicated to Savannah stories and Savannah artifacts and things of that nature. So we thought that creating a wall that kind of represents being in Savannah Square late at night, gives you a good selfie opportunity, but also just adds to the whole flavor of the space.
Nice.
I love that. That's
It's a nice touch.
very pretty. So to get started, so I remember seeing in one of the reels, you bought another museum, and then
it's interesting because I had a collection of my own, but it wasn't enough for a museum. It was just a lot of weird and odd ends that ended up in my possession because I've been a ghost hunter all my life. And people who know that will just show up and be like, here, take this. This freaks me out. Get it out of my hands. And so my wife, Megan, will not allow these things to be in my house. She's got a firm rule.
No haunted artifacts in the house. So what we really had was the most haunted shed and the most haunted Chris's trunk of
my car.
But it came to a point where we're like, we have all this stuff. We should do something with it. Like, it feels like people would want to see this collection.
And it was interesting because it was at a point where it was like, it's either you have to make the decision and move forward or abandon it. And right at that moment, this paranormal museum went out of business and was like, hey, we're selling our artifacts. And we were just like, right when we're talking about possibly opening a museum, this other museum closes. And then within a few months after that, Hurricane Helene came through and destroyed another paranormal museum in North Carolina. And those artifacts were miraculously recovered from an absolutely devastated, destroyed building. And they didn't have a place to go. And so it became just like this constant opening of doors for what we were trying to achieve. And we were lucky enough to be able to get these items and kind of put them all together in what became very salient. It all makes sense somehow.
That's crazy. Do you wonder, to me, I have a theory that like sometimes spirits bring things together or people in certain places and stuff like that to make it all kind of like, they have like an agenda or
oftentimes when you're on the right path,
exactly.
Moves.
I'm a big manifester too. We spent probably a year looking for the right building. And one day I was like, hey, Chris, that's it. And he said, that building's completely rented out. We know every bay is full. I'm like, that's our building. I already know it. And within 3 or 4 months, the whole place had cleared out. We had our pick of the bays and we moved right on in.
Wow, it was meant to be.
Absolutely. That's
awesome.
Crazy. I didn't even know North Carolina had a haunted museum.
So it was interesting. It's called the ภิ'kaville Outpost, and it was kind of like a roadside attraction thing. And it was fascinating because basically it was a paranormal enthusiast who had a little gift shop on the side of the road, and he had this Appalachian mountain witch who kind of brought him things from all around the region and was like, take care of this. This is a dangerous item. Put it behind glass, take care of this. And she would come in and bless the items on a regular. We unfortunately have not found our Appalachian witch to come and bless the things.
Although we're looking, if you know an Appalachian witch who would like to come by and help bless our things, we're on the hunt.
Yeah.
Oh, I might know someone that does that actually. She might pop in the chat.
That would be lovely.
Please.
Chaz, in case you're watching Team Rewatch.
Yeah. I will contact her for sure.
Here's Joey, by the way.
Hey,
Hi, Joey.
If I can get him to focus, I don't know.
Exactly, chastity. That's our girl right there.
Yeah.
That'll be really good. Oh, that's awesome.
Okay, we got it. Okay,
You good?
We in? All right. Just don't move.
And the original museum, well, the first museum, what state was that in?
That was in Oklahoma.
Oklahoma. So random. So I guess
It was fascinating because being so centralized in the country, there was such a spread of artifacts from all around the world, really. But really, he definitely pursued things in every direction.
so Megan had a haunted sheet bed, and Chris had a haunted trunk. I love that.
Wow. And you guys are now with your own museum, man. That's awesome.
It's crazy how it happens.
Do you feel like, say, like for the trunk, did you ever feel like anything while you were driving, or like something was in the car with you?
So no, I was lucky enough to, like, the things that were in my trunk were well contained. They were not
Rolling around,
and they weren't the kind of thing that seemed offensive. Like it wasn't things that were like, this is going to hurt me. It was mostly like uneasiness that people felt. I did have what appeared to be a kind of 𝗵𝗵𝗀𝗃 situation, and that made me very uncomfortable. But I quickly put it in the shed. I did not drive around with that for long, but I basically picked it up, and I'm pretty sure basically it was like maybe a college art project, but I think they were messing with stuff they didn't understand.
Oh, wow.
And the box was covered in very dark symbology. I'm pretty sure there was a lot of blood there. So it's like whatever they were doing may have been haphazardly, put together, but it carried with it a lot of weight.
Wow. Throughout your life, did you guys always, each of you, like the paranormal or had a paranormal experiences, and that's kind of like how you went into this direction, or how did it start?
So I had a pretty profound paranormal experience when I was 6 years old, and it was enough to kind of dictate that the rest of my life would be spent trying to validate, or at the very least soothe the injury of that moment. So I spent my whole life kind of looking for the ghost stories, looking for the answers to those questions, simply because I was so afraid of not knowing. And the more I didn't know, the more anxious I got. So whenever anybody introduced a new idea, and when anybody said, oh, that building's haunted, or this is the story of this or that, I paid such close attention. And it became kind of my obsession point was, if I could just get the information, if somebody will just keep me informed, I will feel better about whatever's in the dark, because I'm a highly phobic person. A lot of people think that I'm like crazy brave. They're like, oh, you must be the bravest guy. And like, no, I'm scared of everything. But I feel more secure the more I know about something. So if you tell me the story of an object, if you give me the examples, or give me anything that kind of puts it in its place, I suddenly feel much more at ease around the object. And then I feel like capable of distilling fear in other people. I feel like I can shield them by giving them the story too, by giving them the information. The weapons that I use are just, if I know the story, if I have the information, I feel less afraid.
Yeah.
Yeah. And how about you, Megan?
So let me go first when people ask this, because mine's not cute or cool. When I was in college, I had a cool, creepy dude named 𝗟𝗓𝗃, and all my friends were like, you got to check him out. He's so cool. He does ghost tours. He'll take you on a ghost hunt. And so in college, I was probably 19. All my friends were going on a ghost hunt. And I'm like, I've never even thought about something like that. So we would go on ghost hunts. We went on many, like with a group of like teens and 20s. And so a few years after that, we started dating. And so I personally am a blocker. I don't experience things. I don't see things. And I'm thankful for that, because I couldn't work in this museum if it was haunting me actively. And our other curator is also a blocker. So when things go wrong, when Chris starts getting woozy, I'm like, let me have her. I'll put her here. It's okay. I can touch things. I can be in the presence of things. Yeah, I can get a little scared here and there. But like we've gone to Waverly Hills and Conjuring House and Lizzie Borden House, like all sorts of stuff. And like I enjoy the experience and I like ghost hunting and I can be around the things, but I have not personally experienced anything, which I think is my mind just trying to protect me. Like you don't need to see it. You believe it and that's good enough.
Yeah. That I was like that once, but then I think the more I investigate, the more open I become, and I'm starting to notice a lot more. I'm surprised it hasn't happened to you yet.
I think I'm very blocked, honestly. I think my sanity.
Listen, I thought I was too, but apparently I'm not. I think subconsciously I open up and I don't realize it. Yeah.
Well, yeah, and that's something that, and we talk about that a lot. As a matter of fact, that's kind of one of the principles behind the museum is to kind of stand at the door, and push the door open a little without it being, a cataclysmic event or, being, trapped in a haunted house or, having a attached to you. You're basically coming into a place where all these stories are collected and curated and put in front of you. Yeah. And you get to open your mind without peril, without there being threat. So you get to be there where people say, oh, this object is haunted and this is how it's haunted and why it's haunted. And yeah, I think if you open your mind enough, you can have experiences without inviting a lot of things in. Yeah. So a lot of it is the museum is really for beginners. It's not for I think intermittent people will love it. Experts will love it.
And we've had experts through. We've had people come in and be like, "Can I use my ghost hunting equipment while I'm here?" Yes, you can. Can I take pictures? Yes, you can.
Absolutely.
But it is very approachable for somebody who maybe like me at the beginning just never had any experience with any of it. I could if I had come in here when I was 19 or 20, I could have learned a ton about all of this stuff. We have a room that just has a bunch of paranormal equipment and how you use it, and they can take it into this room with our most haunted doll, 𝗟𝗏𝗘, and like try and have an experience with her there. But it's very approachable for the newbie as well as some of the more experienced people.
I hope I don't jinx you by saying that.
I think you have actually.
Your own apparition tonight.
Well, here's the thing that's very interesting. Megan has had paranormal events and been witness to and around paranormal activity. But she's very good at kind of
turning it off,
negating its effect.
Yeah,
she was there when the producer of our podcast actually saw his first full body apparition at the Conjuring House, and it blew his mind. Because he was, I wouldn't say he was a blocker. He was just
he'd never experienced
anything. He had gotten scratched across his stomach. At the Conjuring House, and then saw a woman like lurching towards him, and she was right there. So she was a part of it all.
Wait, we were facing JT, so he's facing us, we're facing him. When he saw it, he just like this, and so Chris and Madison of the podcast flipped around to look. I dove out of the way. I'm like, let me just get out of there, danger zone. I don't want part of this. I don't want it. I'm out.
Oh, wow.
We have actually a question from one of our chatters. Thank you, V Team Paranormal.
Maybe.
And their question goes, does Savannah Paranormal Museum have a YouTube channel?
So, as a matter of fact, we do, and we just posted our very first video on it.
Nice.
Everything we have is under Savannah Paranormal Museum. If you look up Savannah Paranormal Museum, you should find us. TikTok, Instagram.
Facebook.
We have our presence on TikTok is probably our most social media setup. We do post probably every day, but we are just about to launch an in-house museum podcast, which is more about. So our curator, we hired our curator, and he doesn't have any history in paranormal. He doesn't really know. He has a history in museum work, and he has a history in tourism, but he doesn't have a very in-depth paranormal, experience. So we decided that because I have to spend almost every day telling him about different things in the paranormal so that he can be up to speed, we might as well just video it. So we're basically doing an A to Z on paranormal. We're calling it Periscope, the entire scope of the paranormal. And it is us just talking about in very organized, we just dropped our episode on the letter A, in which we just discussed things that start with the letter A, apparitions, apports, abominable snowman, so that we could kind of just do that, and it'll be an easy reference for people to like join us and say, oh, this is the B episode. They'll be talking about, Bigfoot and the Banshee and, the black dog, things like that, as they come to us.
Thank you, Dantix. And that is an amazing
awesome.
idea. Amazing. Yeah. I like that.
Yeah.
Everything letter A, and folks can please check them out, man. It seems like an awesome concept.
Yeah, I like that. Very cool. I don't think I've seen anybody that has done that specifically. Right. So that's
it was really one of those things where we wanted it, because I have the other podcast, which is the Most Haunted City on Earth, which is also on YouTube, Most Haunted City on Earth, or Haunted City Podcast. Yeah. And that is kind of deep dives into individual stories. There's a lot of stories where we just basically choose some subject. And to me, it falls into the format of most paranormal podcasts, which is, this is a point of interest and we're going to just really focus on it. With Periscope, it is more of an overview. It's kind of like having an encyclopedia where you can just flip through and get a taste of all these different things.
Nice.
Very cool. You mentioned like the getting dizzy. So would you call yourself sensitive?
So I generally don't consider myself sensitive in a lot of regards. A lot of people will argue with that because there are objects that have been brought to me and I nearly pass out, and I get tunnel vision and I'll feel that really bizarre. But my sensitivity, I believe, is an extension of that fear that I was talking about, that phobia. I have such hyper tuned sensitivity in the, I'm hyper vigilant. That's the word. I'm hyper vigilant. So if something has anything odd to it, my brain just starts firing overtime. And I'm like, there's something weird about this object. And so like during a ghost investigation, I'll be like, oh, I feel cold. And my brain goes through all of these things that the cold could mean. And that may seem like psychic sensitivity, but it's really just me being hyper aware of my surroundings and my environment. Because I'm really, and when I say I'm phobic, I mean literally like clinically phobic. I will break out in a sweat. I will, have issues. So I think that's my superpower here. I'm so scared that when something scary is happening, I'm hyper aware that it's happening.
Yeah.
Because I don't get like the backgrounds or I don't have a lot of, my sensitivity is really about, well, this causes the environment to change. Somebody brought an object in Friday, and it really did. I kind of tunnel visioned out, and I was just like, this object is really bizarre to me, and it's making me sick. It was making me physically ill. And I kind of come to learn that the object was something that a woman literally went to every haunted place she could find and begged the spirits to possess the object. And she did that for years. She would do it when TV shows came on about, ghost hunting and stuff. She would beg through the TV for the spirits, demons, spirits, whatever, to come into this doll. And then she started getting very ill, and she started getting very, uneasy, and she felt very threatened by this doll. So she actually passed it on to another person who brought it to us and was like, hey, don't you want this? And I was like, oh, no, I don't think I do.
I don't think so.
It's here now, and it's only a part of a temporary exhibit, actually.
A temporary?
Yeah. Well, it's the weirdest thing. He showed up on Friday and he's leaving on Sunday. So we made like a 3-day exhibit out of his items. But he brought, he had Lorraine Warren's crucifix. He had
paranormal toaster.
He had the demonic toaster.
That's right, demonic toaster.
The demonic toaster from the 80s, that beehive woman with her toaster, and she's like, my toast is possessed. So we're going to actually make toast with it tonight.
I'm definitely making a TikTok out of this too, so it'll be
please, because I need to see that. I love that video.
My curator has been really forcefully demanding that he gets to eat the toast, and I've been like, I don't think that's a good idea. It's
it says demonic toaster. If you look up, because
it's insane.
This
And
is before my time. The demonic toaster was in the 80s, where this woman was like, she was on the news for this demon toaster, and she's like, I have a piece of toast it made. Here it is, and she lifts it up, and it's a burnt piece of toast where she's obviously used her finger and scratched.
Satan lives in a burnt piece of toast.
And they're like, okay, can you make a piece of toast? Yes, of course. She does it, and it shoots fire like that, and then they're like, well, are you gonna get rid of it? And she's like, it makes really good toast.
Yeah. In the end,
because
we want to keep it.
In the day, it makes really good toast.
But we have that toaster, so it's a weird viral sensation, crazy. It was on like the Today Show. So and I want to say every few years people will dig it up because it's so ridiculous, and it's amazing that we it's kind of like a weird celebrity in our museum right now.
We had somebody today drive from 2 hours away to see it, knowing we only had it Saturday, Sunday. Like, she's like, I must see this toaster.
Oh my god, that doll. So where's it going next? Like, this man, he owns a private paranormal museum in Alabama, and he brought like a suitcase full of artifacts that he wanted to share with us and just kind of show us. I think he was just coming with because he's coming to an event that we're doing tonight. And he was coming to the event anyway, and he was like, oh, I want to bring some stuff. So he brought this big bag of stuff. And I was like, okay, do you mind if we make a temporary, exhibit out of it? Because they were interesting things. He when Ripley's, believe it or not, in St. Augustine was downsizing, they had these objects from, so Gerald Gardner is considered to be the father of Wicca. He had his own Wicca cult, and he's the one who basically wrote all of the witchcraft books of the 20th century, or at least really kickstarted the Wiccan movement in the 20th century. And he had so I have a pendant with his teeth are inside the pendant. And I have a dagger that he used in ritualistic blood work. And it was like, oh, these are very interesting items. I would put them in a more advanced category than most of our stuff. Most of our stuff is pretty casual, with the exception of a very cursed mirror, a very cursed Cumin thong, and a very cursed doll. Those three objects we have had to take special care of. We had to use, we had to salt, and we had to use special amulets just to be near them.
And to keep people safe.
And to keep people safe. We don't want, we're not looking to like boogity people. We just want
boogity.
We just want people to have like an experience and see what other cultures believe is haunted and what other people have claimed to be haunted. And so a lot of it is just very casual haunting. It's very like there's an energy, there's a thing. We do have a Jack-in-the-Box that apparently
I'm going to show that. Don't worry.
Oh, yeah. The Jack-in-the-Box is insane. And the story behind it is absolutely bonkers.
Let's
the old one, the old Jack-in-the-Box.
So old that it doesn't have a crank. It is a very powerful spring, like a motorized, like something you'd see on a giant truck. And you have to push it with all your might into the box. And then there's a little latch, and you put the little latch on. But when you open it, it's not a crank, you just move the latch. When you move the latch, the spring shoots it up, and it jumps off of the table in this huge, loud noise.
So it's like a jump scare.
It is a jump scare. It's a jump scare in a box. That is exactly what it is.
That's not That's not scary.
It is.
I know. Yeah.
Scary looking thing.
Yeah, wow.
It's strangely decorated. It's very odd.
You have the video of that, Jen? You're gonna
I'm gonna.
Okay, you want to see it?
Let's do. Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna go to the first one. Yo, Shaggy's in the house. What's up, Shaggy? Shaggy, you're here right on time for the haunted stuff. So the first one, I'm gonna. Do you want to show the Jack-in-the-Box first? Yeah, let's do the Jack-in-the-Box. That is Alice Eyes. I think it's this one. Okay. Let me share screen.
It is, of course, bubble wrapped to infinity. Okay, I actually know what this item is. This is a Jack-in-the-Box. It is a documented haunted object, so much so that Collectors Weekly online magazine featured this jack-in-the-box from the 1800s, believed to be from Germany, I believe. The spring is very powerful on it, and I think it's powerful because it was not a jack-in-the-box that you played music for. It's kind of like those the can of snakes. If you do that, it comes out.
Oh yeah, he's creepy.
So that was cool.
It almost looks like it's alive.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yes,
Yeah.
and it has a very disturbing past. And we actually we did a live seance on the most haunted city on Earth. So if you go back through the most haunted city on Earth videos, you'll see a video about our experience with that on. Oh, actually, did we?
I have a talk of it, but what we learned, we brought in local sidekicks who basically we learned from them that it feeds when it opens.
Yeah.
So the spirit likes to scare people, and allegedly someone died. They choked and died.
A girl named Erin identified herself as a child who died as a result of that box.
It popped open. She choked, perhaps, and died. And so she
Oh my god!
realized that in the museum we were just going to leave it open because it would piss that spirit off because he doesn't get to hide and build up energy to surprise people and feed.
Because that spring, when it's coiled, it just builds up all this potential energy, and that potential energy becomes the spirit's energy. And if you keep it closed, the longer you keep it closed, the more powerful that entity becomes.
That's so interesting and it's creepy.
Yeah, it's very creepy.
Wow,
that's crazy.
So the person who had it always kept it open or closed?
Open. If you look at that video, you'll notice that it's bubble wrapped open. Yeah. And it's like, what a terrible way to package this, because the top would just, snap off.
Yeah.
They didn't ship it closed. They shipped it open.
Were you hesitant at first when you opened it? Like, because you could tell you paused for a minute. You're like,
so it's very disturbing, and holding it is very disturbing, because one of the weird things about it is that spring is so strong that when it moves, the whole box feels like it's trying to get out of your hands.
And it's very
like it's alive in there, huh?
Yeah, it feels like it's right.
That's creepy. Oh my god! No, listen, I
cannot
wait to see this stuff in person because, one thing I noticed that I kind of like practice, I guess, and I'll go to like what is that called? Where they sell stuff. Where they sell stuff. Thrift stores. There you go. And lately, I've noticed like in certain spots, I'll be like, "Ooh, I get like woozy," or that's why I was wondering about the woozy stuff, and or lightheaded or whatever, and I'm like, "Oh, there's something here." So I've noticed that even one time in a crystal shop, or like a metaphysical shop. So I'm interested in seeing like what happens when I go into your location.
We've had people in here who've come through and they're like, when I walked into this room, I got really dizzy, and it's different rooms for different people. And so we definitely, we've had people run out of the museum with their ears plugged. And so we keep an eye on people. And when we ask people, what was your favorite part? Everybody has a different
thing, and everybody has something else that menaces them that other people were like,
or brought them joy. We had
this
one doll that everyone was like, I really liked him, and like we knew that this doll was the doll that when he was in his old home, the Haunted Grounds coffee shop, that people would cuddle him, and the owner would be like, don't do that, and they'd come up to the front with him like, I love him, he's so sweet, and he's like, that thing's haunted, you should leave it alone. So he's behind glass here, but a lot of people, women specifically, because he's sweet, are like, I love him so much. He's so sweet. It's like,
he's not so
sweet. He's sweet right now. So you live with him.
He's behind glass.
Yeah.
So you think that's like a trickster?
Yes, absolutely.
Wow.
And we get a lot of that. Actually, we have a mirror that
I'm gonna show it.
Basically has a trickster spirit in it. So that mirror, the saga of the mirror was intense. And when we
made like a 6-part TikTok series about it, but it was an insane happening here.
Yeah. that was the first thing that we had assault in here because it was actively trying to get at us. It was actively trying.
Well, now it knows who we are because we looked right at ourselves in the mirror and spoke into it. And it's like, oh, duh, don't do that. Don't do that.
Do you have anything that when you first got it makes you feel some type of way, but then the more you hold it, it's like it doesn't affect you anymore? No.
It's weird. It's kind of like getting to know a person.
Right.
Like, some of the dolls have a very specific sense of humor. Some of the objects have a very specific personality trait. And once you get to know them, it's not that you're less sensitive to it. It's that you're anticipating or you're allowing
a relationship, right? You're like,
right. It's a relationship. You're basically saying, I understand
and
that.
Some come in shy. Some come in and it's like, it doesn't seem that bad.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, they're like, all right.
Yeah.
Okay, you didn't have to go.
Yeah,
one of our dolls has sent one of our colleagues to the hospital twice.
Yeah.
And so we had to salt her. And of course I did it because I'm not affected by this. I'm like, all right, girl, you can't be doing that to our friends. Here's a little salt, be good.
Wow.
Yeah. I only asked because I had haunted dolls that were gifted to me. And when I would feel them, I would notice I would get really tired and like a dull headache.
Oh, sure.
And then I'm like, I don't even like holding them, but now it's like, I'm totally fine holding them. So maybe it is because I built the relationship.
In cases like that, a lot of times people believe that there is reciprocation.
Yeah.
Early on, they're just feeding off of you, right?
Right.
And you're not getting anything out of it, and so it drains you and it takes you.
Yeah,
but
I was like, man.
But by caring for them, by their desperation for your energy subsides. They don't take from you because you freely give it. And that becomes more of a reciprocal nature. And that's something to keep in mind with any ghost or spirit or whenever you're anywhere. Spirits act up to get your attention, but if you freely give it, they don't have to act up. They don't have to expend their energy to get things from you. And that's really where that attack comes from, that sensation of being attacked, is they are utilizing what energy they have, and they're desperate when they do that to get your attention. But if you just give it to them freely, it doesn't cost you anything. And you don't have to expend energy to get your attention. So, it's something to keep in mind that, and you hear it everywhere you go. If you go, they're like, well, always ask before you take a picture. Always, address the spirit of the house. Always, and those are supposed to help you not be ambushed.
Right.
You've offered up your attention, and then they don't have to boogity you. They can just take you in.
Well, I was a skeptic. I'm a skeptic too. So I'm like, it's not the dolls. Or maybe I'm just tired, right? But every time I would hold them, I was like, why do I always get tired? And then it dawned on me, I'm like, well, maybe they are giving, sucking my energy. But now I'm totally fine. So we're okay. Because I told him, I said, you keep doing it, I'm evicting you.
It's funny because we talk about that a lot is when you're resistant, in order for a spirit to get your attention, they have to do something kind of drastic, They have to make more noise. They have to be more,
aggressive,
apply more pressure. So, and once you've accepted them, they kind of back off.
Well, funny story is I didn't know if they were haunted or not. Didn't know until I bought them and I put an EMF, K2 there. And of course I got the hits and I'm like, okay, well, maybe there's something in them, but yeah, it's cool. We're cool now. So we're good. So I was wondering if that happened to you. Cause you have a lot of objects in your museum. If there's
and there's a lot of fresh things here, right? We've been open a handful of weeks. So we're still learning about the things we have.
And the interesting thing is they're getting such varied attention from so many people. That they have extra energy.
For sure.
So if they really want to do something, it seems like they can.
They're
enough to not have anything like catastrophic happen.
Right. Yeah. I think it's cool. I would love to open a haunted museum. Anything haunted I want.
And Joey's like, no.
I don't care if it's a haunted shed. I just want it.
Joey's
the haunted shed.
The haunted shed.
Somebody else that has a haunted shed, Yvette in the chat. She has a shed full of dolls. So I call it's Yvette's She Shed. We made an episode on that.
Yes.
If anyone have objects that they want to have displayed or donate to the museum, reach out and touch base. We have a lot of people who donate things, drop things off all the time. and we'll give them a good home. And
and we even take things on loan. So if you're like, I have this thing, it's an amazing thing, but I want to keep it, you can loan it to us for a month or 6 months. We did a specialty weekend this weekend with the toaster. And so like, if you guys have things that you either don't want anymore or would like other people to experience, we do accept things like that.
I'm gonna send my dolls to you, like, hey dolls, you're going on vacation for
exactly. If you need a break from the dolls, just
and we include the social media. So if somebody has like a channel and they want it included with their doll, it's a good like double, like we can
definitely. Yeah, that'd be really cool.
So that's a great question. Do you believe it's just ghosts that are attached to objects, or is it non-human energies of some kind as well? I do think that you're dealing with both. Some objects I do think are about the attachment of a living being that has moved into another phase of existence and is trying to anchor itself to this world because it has not given up on this plane of existence. So that spirit will attach to, and dolls are ideal for it as far as dolls are concerned, because they have all the trappings of a human being. They head, arms, legs, and people talk to them, people engage with them. And so it becomes very tempting for a spirit to inhabit like a doll, or any object that still gets use and still has a purpose in our world. But I do very much believe that there are non-human energies that are inescapable. They, and we will throw words around like demons and stuff like that. But usually when I speak of a demon, I'm speaking of an energy that we can't classify. It's obvious that it has some kind of intent or some kind of motion, but we don't know how to exactly categorize it. So we call it demon because it seems dangerous, and we'll say that's evil. But I will say that it's like fire. So like there's just like raging fire in the energy, in the spirit realm. And that fire can start burning an object. And when that fire is on that object, if you get in contact with it, it can harm you, it can hurt you, it can create all kinds of mayhem. But it's not because the fire is evil, it's just the nature of that energy. So there are objects that got caught on this like spiritual fire or this spiritual energy. And so it's kind of stained, or it imbues that kind of energy. And that becomes very tricky because people try to prescribe, how do you deal with this haunted object versus that haunted object? Like the object behind us is believed to have a woman's spirit inside of it. But there's another object in our main area that is believed to have a baby-killing demon inside of it. And it's like, okay, is the baby-killing demon a actual like entity that thinks and is like, I'm going to get me a baby? Or is it a malevolent kind of energy, like a sickness, almost like a disease, that can prey upon the young or children or so it's really about exploring what kinds of attentions these objects want, what kind of connection or communication they tend to give, because there are a lot of objects. We have at least 3 objects that seem to have a spirit attached to the object, but not possessing the object. So it's not a spirit in the object, it's a spirit that came along with the object. It's like, oh, here's the Jack in the Box, and here's a 13-year-old girl that travels with the box. She's not
to protect us from the box.
She is attaching herself in a way to the box, but the box itself, whatever spirit that is, doesn't seem to communicate or have the same like personality. It's just malevolent. It's just dark and dangerous. But the girl is there very actively saying, don't mess with the box. Stay away from the box. You don't want to be in the box. And that to me is a prime example of the difference between like that energy contamination and a former human spirit that is attached.
Yeah, that's
very neat.
Very, very good.
Perspective. I like that.
And I like what you said about the doll, the explanation of the doll, because people ask me, why do spirits attach to dolls? And I like what you said about they represent us, kind of, you know what I mean?
And they exist in our realm. That's one of the things, like in witchcraft, there's poppets. And what a poppet is it's a doll that you put a spirit into so that it can exist in our realm, so it can exist in our world. And that is a big deal when you start thinking about it. It's like, oh, you know what? Spirits don't have as much influence on our lives and in our world because they're not actually on the same plane. But when they're in a doll, they're physically in our world. They can be in our world, and they can start making much more influence upon our environment.
Right. That's cool. Yeah. I like that.
I want to show everybody the mirror.
Oh yes, absolutely.
Let me bring that up on stage. I think it's this one where you're.
Our cursed mirror arrived shattered. So we called our friends at Savannah Psychics, Brian and Jen, and they came over to find out if there are any spirits still attached to the mirror. They found a narcissist demon attached to the mirror, but then this happened.
So what it does, this isn't gonna, nobody gets sucked into it. It's claiming that there's someone in there. There's nobody in there. As a matter of fact, they're saying weird things. It sounded like a female. Help me get out. I'm 𝗵𝗶𝗸𝗀𝗀. It's like trying to be.
Did you say 𝗵𝗶𝗸𝗀𝗀?
Like, I don't know. That's what they said. Like, I'm 𝗵𝗶𝗸𝗀𝗀.
So that's my grandmother's name.
Is your grandmother alive?
No.
She's not in there.
No, but 𝗵𝗶𝗸𝗀𝗀 is not a name
that gave me the
because
creeps.
her real name is Pearl, but everyone called her 𝗵𝗶𝗸𝗀.
She's pretending. It's pretending.
It's got me. I mean, it got information. Yeah, no, I've never heard a human being referred to as 𝗵𝗶𝗸𝗀 outside of my grandmother.
Have you looked into the glass?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean, when we first got it was a lot of examination.
So it knows you. It's just going to know you.
Sure.
Wow. That's really cool.
That's crazy, guys.
Yeah,
Really.
and they and so Jen Byers, Brian's wife, actually consulted some old text and found kind of a recipe for salt that is specifically meant to limit any spirit's ability to affect the living. So we were able to make a salt ring around the mirror, and we've had to use it once again with a doll that seemed to be causing some trouble in the museum.
Wow.
Was there any specific item for each of you? Maybe it was different for each of you that you feel like the most I don't know, hesitant with, or that gave you like when you, well, maybe other than Jack in the Box, but that you were like just don't like?
So we had probably one of the most intense experiences we had was with an object called the 𝗚𝗏𝗡𝗏. A 𝗚𝗏𝗡𝗏 in practice, the original 𝗚𝗏𝗡𝗏, they're called it means golden child. Basically, when a child was either miscarried or stillborn, they would take the fetus and they would roast it, and then they would gild it in gold. They'd cover it in gold, and they'd give it back to the family. And the family would have to take care of this golden zombie, this mummy. And by taking care of it, they're basically cashing in on the life fortune of the baby. They're basically saying, all that this baby could have become, I will take. And it's supposed to give you good fortune, but it's really creepy because it's a dead baby in gold. So the practice of doing this, and it's still practiced today, although they stopped making them out of babies. And now a 𝗚𝗏𝗡𝗏 kind of looks like a sort of a statue of a child with his arms raised up. But the 𝗚𝗏𝗡𝗏 we got came to us. Came to the States in the 50s, the 1950s. There's no record as to exactly when it was made. And it is nightmarish to look at. Just looking at it, you're like, this is a horror movie. You've introduced me to a horror movie, because it very much looks like the corpse of a small child.
Yeah.
It is sitting in kind of a lotus position with its hands in a specific pattern, but it looks like a zombie. It is very upsetting to look at.
And when it came in, it menaced us.
It menaced us hard.
It was in a room with other haunted things. So we were unboxing before we were open. So we put all of the haunted objects in a room together. But when we unboxed him, a smell started that was like it was like
death,
earth,
the stench
rot,
of
death.
mud and rotting meat. It was just,
And
and it,
everybody working on the museum, when they went in, they're like, "What is that smell? What is smelling in there?" We're like, "It's unfortunately we think it's the 𝗚𝗏𝗃."
yeah. And it caused all kinds of oppression and oppressive feelings, and was like being near it was agitating, and it was so terrible. We were holding a seance in the building, and we hadn't released anything. Everything was actually locked in a room. We were in the seance, and the psychic, and same psychic with the mirror, was like, "There's a woman here who's frantic. She's super upset. She's frantic. She's frantic, but I can't understand her exactly because she's not American. She's Asian of some type. This Asian woman, not speaking English. She's just running around the room." And over time, we were able to actually pick together what she was saying and what was happening, because she was saying that she had built this thing. She had made it. She was the one who made the 𝗚𝗏𝗃. She made it, and she's really freaking out because, and he says this, he says, she's freaking out because she says it's broken.
The vessel
is broken. What does that mean? And I was like, actually, when we got it, its foot had fallen off.
Oh my God.
And like, roof for it. You better build a roof for it right now. If you need to build a roof. And I was like, what does that mean? How are we going to do that? And so the more we talked, the more I realized that what he was saying was, because what she was showing him was the thatching of a roof that is made with like straw and stuff, and he's seeing the mortar that they use to bind the thatch together. And I remember reading about how they would put special herbs and special tonics and things into the mortar of the roofs, so that because there was a very specific type of demon that would come and kill children, and they would put something in the mortar to ward off the demon. And so I ended up on a phone call with a monk in Thailand. And I'm like, I know this is weird, but can you tell me about a special mortar or a special like plaster that is used to ward off like evil? And he says, oh, yes, you're thinking of the 100-year sacred herb. And I'm like, sure, okay. And then he's like, it wards away evil. It's specifically, I was like, can I get some of that? And he says, we make pendants, amulets made of the plaster. And it's to ward away evil. It keeps evil from escaping. I was like, I need it.
Send me 100.
I get it. I get this little amulet. It's like both my thumbs together size. I bring it in, I put it in the container with the 𝗚𝗏𝗃, and the smell disappears immediately. The moment it touches down, the smell is gone, has not returned. And I have to believe that is the indicator that it works. Because the smell and it was such a very distinct and specific smell that I could not, and even when I put it down, it was just like, is it weird that I don't smell it now? Did my nose get used to it, or what is going on? But yeah, and I still am most concerned about that artifact because the warnings were so dire.
Keep it away from pregnant women.
Keep it away from pregnant women. Don't touch it. Don't touch it. Don't let anybody touch it with their bare hand. Don't let babies around it. Because the spirit distinctly said that she had to build it to trap a child-killing demon.
And let me tell you, if we haven't had pregnant women through this museum, women with babies strapped to their chests, toddlers in strollers, like people be bringing their kids here. But it's behind glass. It's amuleted.
Yeah, the amulet makes me feel a little more secure about it. But we do, like, we watch. We go in, and we don't let people get too close to it anyway.
Do you guys want me to show it?
Oh yeah, if you, I think there is at least one TikTok, if not more.
Actually, our second most popular TikTok is us rehoming it.
Oh right.
It's right here.
One of the most intense artifacts we have is this 𝗚𝗏𝗃. It is supposed to bring you good luck, but this particular artifact makes us all a little uneasy. We are rehousing the 𝗚𝗏𝗃 for its exhibit space in the museum. This artifact exudes a certain dread, Everything about it gives you kind of this sensation that there is something lurking deep within this vessel. Once in place, I'm sure the 𝗚𝗏𝗀𝗃 will look forward to seeing you at the Savannah Paranormal Museum.
It looks like a mummified kid.
Yeah, and by design it's like that. But there are certain things about it because it's supposed to be an infant, right? But it has a long black braid going down its back, and that was like the first indication that there's something different about this 𝗚𝗏𝗃.
Yeah.
Why would it have a long braid if it was an infant? Why would it have so much hair? And then in the braid is a little leather sack. And again, Brian had never seen it, didn't know anything about it, and certainly didn't know a lot about Thailand mythology. But he said there's a special packet on this thing, and that's what's really holding the spirit in place, this special packet. So be mindful of the special packet. And when I first heard that, I was like, a special packet. And then I realized, oh yeah, on the end of the ponytail is a leather little pouch. So we were pretty sure that was what he was talking about.
Wow. Didn't like Asian, like, I don't want to say sumo wrestlers. What are they, like ninja warriors or like warriors have the braid go down there?
So braids throughout a lot of different Asian cultures do signify devotion, wisdom. You know, the longer your hair was, and you'll see like in a lot of Chinese lore, their forehead, they cut their hair like here. They shave because they believe that the more forehead you had, the bigger your brain was. You know, the more that you were so it became more and more culturally acceptable to, brandish, like the longer you keep your hair, the more dedicated to the idea and principles and disciplines of a culture. There are lots of like interesting folklore and interesting cultural lore that goes into, things like long braids.
Yeah. I wonder, I'm Filipino and white, so I wonder if I have, it's really bad. I don't know anything about my culture. Isn't that sad?
The Filipinos have amazing monsters. If you ever want to do a deep dive on monsters, they're incredible.
I need to start like researching because I'm, now it's interesting.
I can't believe you've never even looked.
I don't. I'm white. I'm white. I'm just white. I'm just white girl.
I'm half Korean. My mom is Korean.
Are you Korean?
Yeah, I am.
Oh, I can see. Okay, I can see the. No offense.
Oh no.
The eyes.
People would imagine that I was any brand of Asian, but when they find out, they're like, oh yeah, okay. It's fascinating because, and I'm imagining it's the same for you. We grew up in a time when passing in the culture was so important.
Yeah.
Like for my mom, for us to not be judged for our race was so important we were constantly becoming adept at white culture and being white and having, and not ever because it was easy to pick on you for
international rate. Yeah. I think.
And so it became easier and easier. And, like in my household, we apparently spoke Korean when I was very young. But my sister was playing in school one day with her dolls, speaking Korean to her dolls, and she got made fun of because they said that she had made up this language and that she was, it was a made up language. And when my sister came home crying, she told my mom never to speak Korean to her again. And my mom didn't. She stopped.
Damn.
When I first heard that story, I was really angry because it was like, oh, you robbed me of my culture. But I came to understand that what that really was my mom knows how hard it is.
Yeah.
She was the foreigner. She was the one who had to learn all of this stuff, and she didn't want us to have to go through that burden of crossing a cultural divide. So yeah, it's interesting. Although because I'm a sponge for these kinds of stories.
Yeah.
One of my favorite Korean stories of boogity boogities is I asked my mom what the boogeyman was in Korea, because every culture has a boogeyman.
Right.
And you're like, what's your boogeyman? What's the boogeyman of Korea? What was he called?
Yeah.
And my mom, she's like, well, the main things that we're afraid of was tigers. I was like, well, that's not a boogeyman. That's a real scary thing. A tiger came into your house and killed you. That's reasonable. And then she was like, and then there were lepers. There were actual leper colonies around. And so they were afraid of lepers as well. So leprosy is kind of a scary disease. And I'm sure that's really too. Yeah. And then she said, but there was a boogeyman. Whenever there was a thing that was too scary to comprehend, like a dark spirit or a monster, they called it persimmon. And I was like, persimmons? And she's like, yeah, persimmon, like the fruit, the persimmon. And
I was saying that name sounds familiar to me. Yeah.
It's like it looks like a tomato, but tastes like a peach.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And so I'm like, why is the monster called persimmon? And the story is that there was a child crying in their bedroom, just a baby crying. And the mother would come in and say, hush, hush, hush. There's a tiger nearby. And if the tiger hears you crying, it'll come through the window and eat you. But the baby won't stop crying. So the tiger actually starts approaching the hut. The baby is crying. The mother's in there. The tiger will hear you. The tiger will hear you. And the tiger's getting closer and closer, but the baby won't stop crying. Finally, the mother says, what about a persimmon? And the baby stops crying. So the tiger freezes in its tracks because the tiger thinks, what is so scary that would stop the baby crying? If a tiger doesn't stop the baby crying, this persimmons must be the scariest thing out there. And so the tiger went away. But the mother had just given the baby a persimmons to eat, and it quieted the baby. So the word persimmon became synonymous with anything scarier than a tiger.
Oh, wow. That's super cool.
Chris just dropped a shit ton of knowledge.
He's a good storyteller, too. I was like, I'm like,
that's super neat.
That's awesome.
So do you speak Korean at all?
I do not. And it's a great regret of my life. When my child was very young, we tried to start teaching and learning Korean. Turns out it's hard. So
it's supposed to, and
I am amazingly lazy. So it just didn't work out.
How about, you know what? If you ever want to get back into it, do Duolingo.
There is actually, and this is not a plug or anything, but there's an app that you can download that will teach you languages by watching TV, watching movies, because it will put up all the words on the screen, and you can actually stop it and press, get explanations of the words, but you hear the actual dialogue. You hear the actual speech.
Yeah, the pronunciation.
So you watch your favorite TV shows or your favorite movies in that language, and you get the pattern of speech, because that's one of the hardest things to do. You can learn all the vocabulary, but it's that intonation. And Korean, growing up with a Korean mom, what you learn is Korean words are all about how long you hold a vowel or how high pitched a vowel is. I've never been because it's there's a difference between oh and oh.
Yeah. Yes, I learned that from our neighbor girlfriend.
Right.
Yes.
Because it's oh.
Right. They're the same word, but they mean 500 different things. It's the way you say it.
Right.
The way it's enunciated.
Yeah, exactly.
I was like, are you serious?
Oh man, that's so cool. All right, I want to show another clip. I think is really cool, and I like the backstory that you tell on this clip. So let me get this going.
So in this box,
Okay.
is a little sculpture of Virgin Mary.
Okay.
It was made by a prisoner who glued popsicle sticks together and then carved it and then carried it in his pocket until he died.
Okay.
It was given.
Was it on him when he died?
It was on him when he died,
Sure.
of course.
Yeah.
And it was given to a woman who really loved the store. She said that there was such a strong male presence in her house after this arrived.
Sure.
She had a daughter living with her who was college age, who said she was not coming back home with this in the house. Lots of power with this little thing. So in this.
Oh, wow.
So that was the director of the Micaville Outpost, the Paranormal Museum in North Carolina.
Okay.
And amazingly, these objects, because the building was obliterated. It wasn't just like hit by a storm.
It washed away.
It washed away. It was destroyed.
Right.
And the objects that he got were super fragile, super small. And somehow these objects survived. And it's just insane because like one of the things that he gave us was this very, very freaky doll. But the story is that they opened the door and, floodwater. So the water was like flooding out and her little glass case just kind of gently wafted out the door because it was just sitting at the front door waiting for the door to open. And she was fine. She came out unscathed. There were metal beams twisted and turned and broken. Little glass case just comes right out of the store.
Wow, that's crazy.
You got it. Oh, wait.
We have another question from Shaggy. Thank you for your good questions, bud. So Shaggy,
and this question, Joy, we have asked this ourselves, trying to investigate her dolls. Sometimes we do like a live, and since she's in California and we're in Miami, Florida, this is something that we wondered. So
I oftentimes sound like an authority. I am not. I'm going to go ahead and say that these are all just opinions and kind of observations. They're not, I'm not trying to suggest that this is the truth, but this is what I think. I believe that it's all about risk to the spirit. When a spirit attaches to an object or a person or anything like that, the attachment itself is its best bet at interacting with our world. It can leave, but if it's secure in the object, it won't want to because it's a risk to try to attach to something else. What if you attach to something else and it doesn't take? What if you can't hold on to it and then you don't have a home and then you don't have enough power? So in many cases, I think what's happening is a spirit will find an object, associate itself with that object, and through that association, have another life. And it is existing in the same way that we are in our bodies, it's in that body. It can leave, but it means a destruction of a type. It means a death of a type. And many spirits are going to be reluctant to do that. That's why you shouldn't destroy a haunted object. That's why you should not burn it or break it or anything like that. Because if the object is now the body of the spirit, when you kill this body, that spirit comes out. It gets released. And that is the danger of burning an object, doing anything. The only way, as far as I'm concerned, to deal with a haunted object that you no longer want to have anything to do with is to give it a proper burial. You give it a proper burial because that's what society has done since the beginning of time to indicate that it's over, that's the end of your existence. And the spirits kind of learn the rules as we dictate them. So that's what ritual does. Ritual just gives you a framework. And if the ritual of burial means the body is at rest and you're not supposed to bother anymore, that's the best way to attempt to stop and end an association with a haunted object. However, some spirits are very, very resilient and they have a lot of ability. And the interesting thing is we keep thinking of the word trapped. The word trapped comes up all the time when we talk about ghosts. And I think that we should reevaluate that because it may not be that they're trapped. It may be that they have a purpose and we just don't know what that purpose is. And that's what gives them the tenacity to stay where they are, to do what they do, because they're trying to fulfill some purpose. Their existence has not ended yet. Their life is actually prolonged in the spirit realm. So, we get it in our head that, oh no, they're trapped and we need to move them on, or we have to get them to the next, level. We have to get them to the light. But the truth of the matter is we don't know. We have no idea what is the actual reason for them staying. And it might be the next stage of life. It might just be, we're supposed to learn so much in physical form, and then maybe we're supposed to learn so much in spiritual form. Maybe we're supposed to have experiences that are not sensory, like that aren't about the flesh and aren't about, seeing with your eyes, smelling with your nose. Maybe the being a ghost is a part of being alive.
I like that. And I definitely agree.
But it took me down like a whole nother thought process, and I don't know if I want to go there anymore.
She's like, I don't want to go there.
But I do. I don't know. Should I? Has to do with being buried and cremation. I don't know. You get where I'm going with it?
Yes. Well, and that's a fantastic point, because that question comes up a lot.
Yeah, I'm like,
it's like, oh, but here's something that I always try to point out. People don't think about this, but a funeral, is a very old magic ritual. We are trying to bind a spirit to a stone. We're carving a name into a stone. We're putting a body beneath it. We are trying to suggest that the body, the spirit of the body, should not come home. It's like, Uncle Dave died, you're going to stay here. Here's a marker with your name carved into it. That is old magic. That predates anything. Making a mark in stone is a lasting impression of the person.
Yeah.
Because you don't want them to come home. You're like, dead people should stay away. And so that notion is all about that ritual. And that's why children are so much more powerful as ghosts.
Yeah.
Because children haven't been inducted into all those rituals. They haven't been inducted into all those ideas.
Right.
Because we are just victims of the rituals that we were brought up on. So I think when we're talking about burial and cremation and what happens to the spirit after that, we're dealing with a lifetime of prejudices that were put into our heads as to what happens when you get buried, or when you're cremated, or when you shuffle off this mortal coil, what happens? And because of that, we are shackled by our beliefs.
Right.
Whereas when a child dies, they don't have firm beliefs, so they can wreak havoc. They can run amok, and the rules do not count. So you find a lot of like where there are children ghosts, it's oftentimes calamity and chaos.
Yeah.
Because they don't have the same rigors of being told from birth that you stay in the cemetery, or that hallowed ground means something, or that these rituals will protect you, or that this prayer will stop you.
Yeah.
These are things that we have to learn and then adhere to, and then, the spirits tend to adhere to a lot of this, provided they participated in their lives with it.
Yeah. Sorry. When you're talking about it, I was like, well, fuck. Did we get trapped? I mean, like, where do we go? Now I'm confused. Do I want to be cremated, or do I want to be buried? No.
Well, most people believe that there will always be some part of your spirit attached to the physical body. So, that's why graveyards are so haunted, is because there's always going to be a stirring. That was the vehicle that we drove around the world in, and so we will always have some piece of us there. People also believe that through cremation, you are shedding that connection, giving you more freedom, giving you more ability to not dwell upon your resting place or dwell upon your bones, or to have that notion. But we don't know.
That's all. This stuff is interesting to me. Sorry, we're taking it up from your Honda Museum to.
Oh no. This
sorry.
is how we ended up with a Honda Museum. We like to talk about it.
Let me show another item. I think
to talk about that because I'm curious. It's like, it's a fascinating. Well, it's not fascinating, but it's fascinating. You know what I mean? Like,
no, it's super interesting, because that's a question I've pondered myself. Let's put it out.
Yeah. Because there was a point I was like terrified. I was like, I don't know if I want to be buried. I don't know if I want to be cremated. So I was like, literally, I was freaking out about the idea of death.
Oh, sure.
For a short time, and I'm like, what the hell's wrong with me? I gotta stop. Yeah, I was like, I gotta stop thinking about it. But anyway, that's a whole nother subject. Maybe we'll talk about it on the show for another day. But
sure,
and you guys can come back on and we'll talk about it with you guys. But yeah, let's get back to the.
Let me show one more, because I know you guys are running tight on time.
Yeah.
Let me do one more. This one is, I thought it was interesting. I hope I get the right clip, because there's two dolls here, but I think it's this one.
This doll caught my eye because it has no eyes, and it seemed like a haunted artifact, but I had no story to go with it. I bought it because it kind of had that creepy sensation. It gave me the woogity-woogties. Well, one day while I was telling a ghost story, I heard this loud clack sound. I turned and looked, and this is what I saw. You never know what's haunted.
The heck happened to it? What happened to it?
Its eyes came back.
Yeah, I was like,
I can't explain it. I have no understanding.
Were they stuck?
They were stuck backwards.
So it looked like they were just broken shards of plastic, like in the eye.
Mm-hmm.
And so I tried to be really careful with it, but the next time I looked at it, they were gone again. It was just the weirdest thing, and it was such a. It was like this clack, and I turned and I'm telling a ghost story to a group of people, and it was sitting on a cabinet behind me, and I'm telling the ghost stories, and I hear it, and they're all like, "Oh, right, sure, okay, this is the part where he pretends something scary happens."
Yeah,
and I'm like looking around, and I couldn't place my finger on what the sound was because it was such a weird sound. And then, I turn and I look, and it's like white eyes where there were no eyes. And I'm like, oh, yeah, that's a problem. That's going to be a whole problem here. And again, the saddest thing about a lot of objects is you don't get a story. There's no story. You don't know who owned it before. You don't get to hear, oh, well, that was old woman 𝗟𝗂𝗀𝗃, and she was a terrible person, and now she's in the doll. You don't get those for most things. We actually have a whole cabinet of haunted objects that people are like, this gives me, the creeps. But that's it. That's all we got, is that these are objects that cause people alarm or distress. No story. And so I find, and so with that doll, that's my story. That's my story of the doll. And it kind of made me a little more comfortable because before that, I didn't know anything about the doll. It was just a creepy doll. But now I'm like, oh, that's the doll whose eyes just came back out of nowhere.
That's creepy. I don't know what to think about that. And now they're gone.
Yeah, now they're gone. Yeah, she's sitting in the cabinet now, no eyes. And I've tried to make her eyes show back up, but there's only so much shaking of a haunted doll you can do before you really feel self-conscious.
Oh, I've got this one. Okay. So when people come through the museum, we do have people worried about something being attached, but we have a cold iron meteorite dagger at the door. So as people are leaving, they can touch the cold iron and hopefully leave behind anything that might be more interested in following them home. We definitely thought about that. We didn't want anyone to be haunted upon leaving here, so we put our cold iron at the door for them.
Yeah, and we have lots of protective items all throughout, not on display, but just for their own sake. We have the amulet for the '𝗏𝗏𝗃. We have a 100 blessings sword from China.
And we've visited haunted places where when we went to the place and then upon leaving, it's like, oh, that stayed where it was. It's got all the attention it wants. It's performing its ghost dance and song. Like the things here are getting the attention they crave, I believe.
Right. They're not going to want to leave.
Be like, I'm out of here. That tourist seems interesting. It's not going to happen.
Yeah,
I'm touching that thing when I leave, though.
Yeah. Yes. Oh, we are always like, feel free to touch it. It can't hurt.
We left it by the door for you.
Yeah.
Yes,
that's cool. You guys do that for the scared, I don't want to say scared ones, but nervous people that want.
No. It comes across as irresponsible to not have something.
Yeah.
That would even just
We've
ease
had
your
people
mind.
run back in and touch it again, one more time for the road.
Like rub it off on it.
Exactly. Just pick it up, hold it for a while.
Their old body.
And just really quick before we're done, a few other things we have at the museum. I've made a scavenger hunt of cryptids. It's called the Cryptid Quest. And we also have an audio tour that's an item by item tour. And so if you see an item, you're like, what is that? You can look it up on the audio tour in a photo and listen to it item by item, or you can listen to the whole audio tour, which is about 3 hours in length.
Yeah.
Damn. That's really cool. Where do you see the audio tour? Where do you get that?
When you come in and with your ticket, you get access.
It's basically you just download it onto your phone, and it's a deep dive into each item, so that if there's something you want to know more about, you can just listen to it.
So, how many rooms do you guys have at the museum? Sorry, Jen.
There are 6. Well, 7 including the confession booth.
Okay.
So 7. Yeah.
Nice.
So tell everybody so we can wrap up.
Yeah,
where to find you? Oh my God, I literally can talk to you for like an hour.
I want to talk to. I would love to bring you guys back and talk about that.
Yeah, absolutely.
We love that.
Yeah.
So we're in Savannah, Georgia, 415 West Boundary Street, Savannah, Georgia. And if you look up SavannahParanormalMuseum.com, that's our website. Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, Savannah Paranormal Museum. If you want to email us, it's SavannahParanormalMuseum@gmail.com. So when in doubt, Savannah Paranormal Museum.
I love it.
You know
Thank
what?
you
I think it would be a good time to have them back after we go.
Yeah, sometime way after we go.
Yeah,
If you when you're here, we can have a podcast in person, and we'll sit and record one.
Hell yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yeah,
That'd be awesome.
That'd be really cool for you.
You guys saw that shirt at the museum?
We do.
Okay,
Oh,
perfect.
yeah, we're getting
we always get merch.
ready.
We actually sold out of the shirts in the first 2 weeks.
Oh yeah, we did not expect to sell out. So,
And so we ordered a ton more. So we've got a ton of these, and we've got another design coming soon.
Nice.
Hopefully, it'll be there by August.
It will be.
It will be.
We're not going to
Absolutely.
run out again. We're keeping them on order.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so
Yeah,
much.
thank you guys.
Amazing.
If you want to check out all the boogies that they have,
Cracking me up.
on Facebook, IG, TikTok. Make sure that you check them out. They're going to be doing something with that haunted toaster a little later today, right?
Yes,
guys?
today.
yeah,
So
we're going to probably be going live on TikTok.
And we'll have a TikTok stitch together for
Right.
tomorrow as well.
I'm going to be on there. I'm going to be on your TikTok.
Yeah,
Okay, great.
these guys, the best way that you can show us love and joy is to show love to our guests. They dedicate a lot of time to coming to be on our show. So please show them some love back. And also, lastly, before I do end the episode today, I can't end the show without saying a happy Memorial Day to everyone out there that's, these fallen soldiers have given their lives for us to be able to have this show and get to know Chris and Megan. So we definitely appreciate all of the, the veterans that are no longer with us. So huge shout out to you guys, and we dedicate this episode to you.
Definitely a part 2, yes. All right, guys. So we're going to end it tonight. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, Chris and Megan. Once again, we appreciate you guys very much.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.